She makes her debut on February 5th on one of the most highly anticipated fights of 2021 already at the greatest name for a pay-per-view in history, Knuckle Mania. I love that. Welcome back, Paige VanZant. Paige, how is everything?
Thank you so much for having me again. Things are great. Just training really, really hard and getting ready for this, debut. It's super exciting.
Are you as excited by the name Knuckle Mania as I am?
I absolutely am. When I heard it, I was like, no way. Like it just like adds to the like excitement around the whole event. It's already like bare knuckle cards. If you guys like haven't been to one, it's like exciting like you wouldn't believe. And then now calling it like Knuckle Mania makes it that much more.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, obviously this has been a long time coming after you signed with BKFC and made the decision to do this. But how has the transition been for you from the training, from the promotion, from the attention you've received? Would you say that you feel like, again, I know you're about to make your debut, but do you feel like you've made the right decision?
I absolutely do. And as it gets closer, I feel that more and more. There's so many other aspects around all of this that like yeah, I'm excited to fight, but it's like the training, like I'm having so much fun just focusing on my boxing and my striking, which is what I've been known for. And um it's like falling in love with your career all over again. I feel like I've never been this passionate about learning and developing and growing. And part of that is because being here at American Top Team, I know that I have some of the best striking coaches in the entire world. I have some of the best coaches in the entire world, all focused on me. And it's like I have 100% attention on my growth and development. And they're excited about this, transition and this like, new adventure to be along and part of it with me.
I know when you left the UFC, I think a lot of people immediately said, well, it's a matter of time before Paige signs with Bellator because, Bellator, they do treat their fighters very well. Scott Coker is a guy I've always called a fighters promoter. He cares
Mhm.
more about promoting the fighters than the organization himself, any of that kind of stuff. And of course, your husband, Austin, fights in
Yeah.
Bellator. He's a top ranked guy over there. When you signed with BKFC, of course, everyone's like, whoa, did not see that coming. So, in your opinion, obviously money plays a part, your own
Mhm.
ambitions play a part, but what was it ultimately that said BKFC is where I want to go as opposed to Bellator, PFL, one championship? What was the biggest factor in that?
Truly, there was a few different things. And yeah, you mentioned a few of them, the money, the passion part of it. I mean, it wasn't just one thing that leaned me towards signing with BKFC. Of course, Bellator, when I was nearing the end of my UFC career, I did kind of anticipate that I would be signing with Bellator. I love the way that they treat my husband. They're an amazing promotion. And they came with a really awesome offer, and it was hard to turn that down, especially knowing that I was walking away from my husband and I fighting for the same promotion, which is just so cool. For me, there was so many different factors. There was one, yeah, the pay was great. They came with a really good offer. They there was other pieces of like my career. Like I do really love striking, and it's like this is a moment in my career where I can just focus on my striking, which is so much fun. My arm, I've broken my arm 3 times, and every time I broke it was an MMA injury, not a boxing or striking injury. Or I guess it was a striking injury, just not straight boxing. So, like someone throwing a flying knee at me. I don't have to worry about that now. And it's like this moment where I feel like I can be so passionate and not have to worry about re injuring myself. I can just go out there and compete. And then the passion part of it, I did know that people were gonna expect me to sign with Bellator. Everyone knew, like, oh yeah, Paige is going to Bellator. It was kind of like this obvious thing, and I was like, I am gonna shock the world, and I was like so excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And to that point, let me ask you about the arm. I know you mentioned to me prior to your final UFC fight, you had thought about at that point having another surgery, and then afterwards you said no, you feel good, you didn't have any kind of problems with it, before or after that fight. How has the arm been doing, and do you feel like making this decision actually will prevent you from having to deal with another surgery, which I know is something ultimately I don't think anyone wants to go under the knife again.
Absolutely. So I actually was able to go to the doctor and figure all this stuff out. If I was going to go into MMA, the risk of me re breaking it is still super high because I have a plate that goes from like my elbow to my wrist. So getting like kneed in the arm, kicked in the arm, all of those are really high risk to injure myself again. And with the bare knuckle boxing, no one's kicking you in the arm. Like, yeah, you can get punched there, but it's not the same force. It's not the same as getting, kicked or a flying knee in the arm. It's just different. So the doctors that I was speaking to, they're like, yeah, this is a great move. It's just more time for you to develop in striking. And they said that this is the perfect idea for me to go into the bare knuckle boxing, and I don't have to have surgery. If I do this, I'm good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, every time you fight, there's something to prove. Now, a lot of people would say when you fight, you're proving something to yourself, which is absolutely true and absolutely important. Other times, maybe you're trying to prove an opponent wrong who's kind of being mouthy before a fight. Maybe you're trying to prove something to the naysayers out there, be it fans or promoters or whoever it is, whatever it is. So when you look at BKFC and you look at your first fight coming up here on February 5th, what would you say you are looking to prove in a fight like this?
I feel like for me, this one isn't about proving anything. This one is truly just about going out there and having fun. And that's what it was at the beginning of my MMA and my beginning of my UFC career. There wasn't like anybody I had to prove wrong. It was more just like I was just going out there to try this because I never knew, I didn't know how long fighting was going to last for me. I was so young and I, new to the sport. So here it's kind of the same thing. Like, I'm just going to go out there and have fun, and I'm doing something I'm passionate about. I'm doing it because I love it and nothing else matters.
So now, as you've gotten ready for this, I know you've been working at American Top Team, a tremendous group of coaches down there. But obviously, you've been focusing on the boxing. I know they got a lot of great boxing people down there. I know Dia Davis and some of the other people that work down there. How has that been, just focusing on the boxing and conditioning yourself to get ready for BKFC? Because again, you are kind of dropping one part of your skill set because you're no longer grappling or kicking, but you are going to be going in there bare knuckles. So obviously you got to condition your hands, things like that. So how has that been going?
Yeah, the transition has honestly been really smooth because I do have like Tiago Alves, who has already fought for BKFC. He's at our gym too. So it's like kind of taking the program that they already put in place for him to prepare for BKFC. I kind of get to follow that program. And then at the same time, it's actually two other girls since I showed up have both signed with BKFC. So there is now Tiago and then three girls. All three of us are all getting ready for our BKFC debuts. So it's cool because we all get to train together and be on the same program. We have some amazing striking coaches. We obviously are doing just boxing. We box every single day. And it's nice because I have such high level teammates to train with to get ready for this. So there's a few things you change, obviously, from MMA, but a few things you change from boxing to get ready for this. There's like a clinch work aspect. There's, getting your knuckles prepared. The nice thing is I just am so confident in my coaches that I don't necessarily I'm not too worried about, focusing on the little details of like, what if my hand breaks? That's like, I feel like that's on my coaches. They're preparing me. They're doing everything possible to get me ready. And as long as I'm working as hard as I can on their program, then it's going to be a really successful fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember speaking to you right after you signed, and one of the biggest things that you got, hammered with on social media, hammered, I don't mean a bad way, just people sending you messages, was that picture of Jason Knight after his fight with Artem Lobov, where he was all cut up,
Yeah.
and they're saying, Paige, what are you doing? But we've seen, and you've seen, everything in BKFC for the most part has all been very superficial injuries. It's just cuts and cuts heal and things like that. But I'm sure you saw there was a report that came out a couple of months ago that less broken hands in bare knuckle. There have been less concussions in bare knuckle. Less overall injuries by comparison than MMA. The only thing they have more are the face lacerations, which again, those heal. Not that any of that made a mark on your decision to sign with BKFC, but did you kind of like in the back of your head, like, say, look, I did make the right call. People who are saying these things, don't really understand the safety or what's actually happening in BKFC.
Yeah, I think the hard thing is just the regular fan, someone who's not necessarily, I guess, educated in martial arts or educated in like the medical field. They see blood and instantly see it as like a terrible injury. Whereas for me, like, yeah, I would much rather be cut open than break my arm or break my knuckle or tear my shoulder or tear my knee. Like those are all things that take a very long time to heal. Whereas a laceration, like I got cut in my face in one fight, one, you can barely tell. And two, I heard statistically that scars make you more attractive. So, and it's just like, it's not a big deal. Those heal and you just continue on. And faces heal really well. Your body heals itself. Bodies are an amazing thing. And yeah, the cut part of it, like I understand people are focused on that because of the like blood, but I think once people realize that getting cut open's not really a big deal, that then they're gonna, I don't know, I think they'll fall in love with this sport even more.
Yeah. Now, when you left the UFC, you told me at the time, there was no, there was not necessarily any kind of bad feelings. You weren't trying to burn bridges with them, but you did have certain issues with, promotion, and obviously pay was a big deal, especially when you look
Mhm.
at, the last couple of years. I know you're just making your debut at BKFC, but you've seen the promotion already. You're the headliner, you're the main event, you're the spotlight of this fight. And obviously, again, I don't know what you're getting paid, but I've heard it's pretty well. So
Yeah.
would you say that like this has been a kind of almost like a refreshing situation being with them? And again, this isn't taking a knock on the UFC. But would you say some of the issues you have at the UFC have been answered since you've signed with BKFC?
Absolutely. And I will say that BKFC is obviously a big part of that. But then on the other side of it is I just have to thank my management team. I obviously I'm with first round management, and I have Melky and Abe in my corner, which, I've always like kind of wondered what it would be like to go with like one of those powerhouse management companies, like what the real difference is. And as soon as I signed with them, I noticed the real difference. And they have that like, you know, confidence in what they do and then who their athletes are, that yeah, Melky, like there'll be times where I'll be like, oh well, like, are you sure I deserve that? And then he'll like instill me, no, you deserve this. And then he's the one who pushes for me and is able to negotiate these deals and really get me my true value and everything that I've been fighting for this whole time. And I have a really good management team. So it's really cool to see how much things have changed since signing with them.
Yeah. And I know again you did headline UFC cards, so obviously, you've been there before, but do you feel that level of excitement, that level of anticipation, the promotion that you're feeling for this card already? I mean, obviously we're a little under a month out, and when they announced this, I mean, obviously it blew up everywhere, and it's going to be a big fight week. I mean, Super Bowl weekend, it's taking place
Yep.
in Florida, same place as Super Bowl. Like, have you felt that kind of build, that kind of anticipation since the announcement?
Oh, I definitely have. And for me, I love that. I feed off of that energy. And I feel like I'm at a point in my career, when I fought my other two like main events, there were so many other things. I was like, what am I doing? Like, why is this all happening so fast? And it was just kind of like all just going and going and going. And now I feel like I have complete control over my career. I have the right managers and my coaches. I trust everybody who's getting me ready for this. And I truly feel like this moment was made for me, and I have 100% grasp on everything going on. And I'm just so like happy and confident in going into this fight. And it's an exciting time in my life to really feel like, there's no anxiety behind like the things that are going on. Yeah, I have big stuff happening in my life, like I always have, but now I feel like I'm in control of all of it.
Yeah. Now, when you look at this particular matchup in Britain Hart, they didn't give you, just random person, a debuting person. They didn't give you somebody from MMA crossing over that maybe they could have promoted. They gave you Britain Hart, who is legit. She's had 3 fights, I think, in BKFC. She's coming off a big win. She obviously fought Beck Rawlings to a split decision. So she's as legit as they come. Kind of a two-part question. One, were you happy with that kind of a matchup, that you were getting an experienced, bare knuckle fighter? And part two of that, have you felt that, there is obviously the attention's going to be more on you than her, even though she's, more of a veteran in this particular sport? Do you embrace that, knowing the pressure's on, saying, listen, the spotlight's going to be on you in this fight? And it's nothing against Britain. We just got to be honest about it.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really excited about this matchup. I think for me, they had offered, it was kind of going back and forth between who my opponent was going to be. BKFC wasn't really sure. There was a lot of like, a lot of talk on who it would be. And I'm really excited with the person that they settled with. And especially for the debut, I feel like I'm going into her world, something that she's already competed at. She's fought for the title. Fought a split decision with Beck Rawlings, who we all know is extremely talented. So I think people should know that this Britain chick, she's no joke. Absolutely. And I think that's what's made me rise to the occasion more. I know I have to take this so seriously because I know how tough she is. And that's the thing is I'm coming to fight the best of the best. And I'm super excited that I get to go into her world and take over. And I think it's gonna be the perfect it's gonna be the perfect debut for me. It's the perfect moment, especially for how big the card is. And it makes sense to have her as an opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. I know when I talked to Dave Feldman, the president of BKFC, he said, once a year, twice a year, they want to have these big marquee cards. And they're kicking it off big with February 5th. I mean, you gotta appreciate that. The organization, obviously they're investing in you, but they're also investing in promoting you, which again, I think that matters, right? As a fighter, that absolutely matters.
It absolutely matters. And it's nice to know that you're with a promotion that actively wants to build you. They're not necessarily just like using you as for their success. They're building me and they're helping me become more successful. And then in turn, the more successful I am, the more successful they're going to be because I'm only going to bring more eyes and more attention to their promotion.
Yeah. Now, before we get out of here, I got to ask because now that you are down at American Top Team, I know your focus has solely been on bare knuckle. But again, I know you do cross over and occasionally still train other things. I'm sure maybe you saw your past opponent, Amanda Hebus. She's down there training. I mean, she's such a positive person in general, but
She's nice.
she was so glowing like about the fans, now that she gets to train with you and she loves it. And she was so positive about that. So I guess one of the biggest questions you're going to answer leading up to this fight is the door closed to MMA? Is that something that you think that, one day you will revisit?
Okay, so if you would have asked me like 2 years ago if the door was ever open to bare knuckle boxing, I would have said no. Uh, and now in this moment in my life, being only 26, I have to say, yeah, the door is still open. Of course, I'm training at one of the best MMA gyms in the entire world. I have amazing teammates and training partners, and of course, I was training with Amanda, getting her ready for her fight here in Abu Dhabi. So, of course, the door is open. It's hard for me to put that away because I am so passionate about it. But at this moment in my life, I'm 100% focused on just boxing. And who knows? Maybe I'll go back into MMA, but maybe I'll just stay in boxing. I am having a lot of fun doing this, and but I have a long time to fight, being only 26. So.
Yeah. Well, I know from talking to Dave Feldman as well. I mean, just like, with Artem Lobov, he was supposed to fight over in France. Unfortunately, the coronavirus, kind of put a nix on that. But it seems like Dave Feldman and the team at BKFC is very willing to work with their athletes. So, you could potentially still cross over and do a Bellator fight if you really wanted to. Just based on their history, it seems like they are willing to work with their athletes to make you as happy being part of their organization.
Absolutely. And that is something that has been mentioned, that that's a part of being in BKFC, knowing that they give you the leniency to go do what you want to do. So it's exciting. It's exciting just to know that I have options and to know that they're giving me the freedom to do what I want to do. But right now, all I want to do is bare knuckle box. So that's where I'm keeping all of my time and energy and effort. And as soon as I feel like I want to try doing another MMA fight, I will. But right now, I just like the boxing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Paige, this is, I'm sure you're feeling it. We got a lot of big fights coming up in between, MMA, boxing, and now BKFC. I'm sure you feel it. The excitement's building, the anticipation's building. I know your excitement is building. And man, February 5th, it just seems like it's right around the corner. I cannot wait to see you make your debut. Have a good rest of your training camp. And man, look forward to February 5th.
Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon.